Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Eddie Hearn makes his move on the WBA title. Now you know Hood Champion has an opinion about Eddie Hearn, about the fighters he's been picking up, Boots, Shakur Stevenson, and Edgar Berlanga, and the plans he has for those guys. But when you take a look at what's about to happen here, I think it's going to make some sense to some people who are wondering how in the hell did Giyasov find himself in position. Anyway, Giyasov is very high in all the sanction, ranked very high in all the sanctioning bodies, and now the WBA, they have a championships committee, and they've ordered the mandatory bout to take place between Amanda Stanionis, who's from Lithuania, and to face Jaron Giyasov. Now, Amanda Stanionis, his last 3 years have been rough, man. He was supposed to fight Spence. Thought he was going to get the winner of Spence and Ugas, Spence and Crawford. A lot of back and forth, and for this guy to just have a carrot dangled in front of him and not get the opportunity. He returned finally and had a fight, and he didn't look that great in that fight, in my opinion. He looked very vulnerable, very beatable. And the thing about that, when you have a guy who's coming off of some serious inactivity, I mean, there's always a chance that their timing is off, their conditioning isn't the greatest, and also their commitment level isn't what it was. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, that's Stanionis, who fought Butev. That's Stanionis. He's only had Butev in this fight he had not too long ago. That's it. And coming off, and when he fought Butev, that Stanionis was a monster. But I'm telling you right now, Eddie Hearn is a smart man. Because for those of you who are saying, all right, why you keep talking about Eddie Hearn? So how about I just show you why? Okay. Let me go on over here. Let me show you why. So this right here is Jaron Giyasov, right? 16 wins, 9 KOs, hasn't lost, right? Damn near 60% KO ratio, almost 5'10". They don't have his reach on here. But he's from Uzbekistan. Now we all know those Uzbekistan fighters are very strong. They call him Wonder Boy. Now, this is what I'm paying attention to. He just fought, okay? And he was able to get a split decision win. Then he fought earlier this year in February, where he faced Pablo Cesar Cano and won a decision there in the 11th round. So what I'm saying is he's coming off of being, pretty active, and he's with Matchroom. See, some people don't realize that Giyasov is a Matchroom fighter. But let me show you this right here. Now, just imagine, right? This is Giyasov. If he can somehow, see, he's with Matchroom. If he can somehow come and clip Stanionis, well, then now things get real interesting for Eddie Hearn. Now, this is Stanionis, 15 wins, 9 KOs. He's right at 60% KO ratio. So both of them bring about the same amount of firepower into the ring. He's shorter. His reach is 68 inches. I think Giyasov is like 72. But long story short, this is what concerns me for Amanda Stanionis, and I like Amanda Stanionis. You see, he fought Butev. Where's the date on that? Right here. In 2022 of April. Then 2 years later, May of this year, he came and he faced Gabriel, looks like Maestri, and it went unanimous decision, 12 rounds. And let me tell you something, he didn't look that great in that fight. And the funny thing is, look at who he came back to fight. A guy who had 6 wins and 1 draw. 6 wins and 1 draw. That's who they put him in the ring with. So to think he's going to come now, right, Amanda Stanionis, after being inactive for 2 years and fighting a guy with 6 wins and one draw, that's the same thing with Evander Cyan, who went after Terrence Crawford and fought a fight where he faced a guy who had like, I don't know, like minimal wins and 30 something losses, something crazy. Then they come and think he's going to clip Boots. It's just not going to happen. So I personally think Giyasov is going to clip Stanionis. I do. I think he's going to beat him. So it's going to go to purse bid. So it's going to be between PBC and between Matchroom to try to sort out the purse bid. But this is where it gets interesting, man. Okay? Is that the communication was officially sent to both parties, Giyasov and Stanionis, Matchroom and PBC. On 19 September, they're given 30 days to negotiate the fight, which will end on October 19th. The championship rules C10 state that a champion must defend the title against the next available contender within 9 months from the date he won the title. In the case of Stanionis, he won it on 15 April 2022, so the time limit for his next mandatory fight expired on 14 January 2023, and he must face Giyasov. That's not Stanionis' fault, what happened with him and the WBA belt and the way all that played out. That's not his fault, but it is what it is. On the other hand, WBA rule C13, fighting limitation, states the champion cannot fight a boxer who is not the official challenger within 60 days after the expiration of the mandatory defense period. If the teams of both boxers cannot reach an agreement within a given period, or if either party refuses to negotiate, the WBA may open the fight to purse bid pursuant its rules and regulations, and with the purse split of 75% for the champion, 25% for the challenger. And I'm gonna tell you that right there is what I think Eddie Hearn will try to avoid. He may try to put the money up to secure the fight, and that gives him the upper hand. Now, why am I saying Eddie Hearn makes a move on a WBA title? Because if you look at what's happened with Jaron Ennis, and I do believe in conspiracy theories, I think the secret society is in full effect. And I think this is Eddie Hearn being able to do like he's done with his fighters, in particular, Conor Ben, in particular, Billy Joe Saunders, in particular, Edgar Berlanga recently, in particular, Diego Pacheco recently, to get those guys into positions where those guys can go and fight. Huge fights, big names, big money, or fight for titles. And when you see Giyasov now about to get an opportunity to fight Stanionis, if he picks up that title, then Eddie Hearn doesn't have to worry about struggling to try to get Boots into a big fight for unification. He can just now come and say Boots against his guy. And I'm sure that the IBF and the WBA won't have any issues with that, because Eddie Hearn is all about the dollar bill, y'all, cha-ching ching, and knows the secret society is in full effect. And then Boots can become unified. And this could be what we're seeing could be Eddie Hearn's master plan once he realizes, okay, I can't get Barrios, who is fighting Abel Ramos. I can't get Stanionis, and I can't get Brian Norman Jr. because I think Eddie Hearn should have paid that money because they wanted more money than I was willing to give him. So I think this is Eddie Hearn's way of saying, okay, well, we're going to circumvent the system. And I'm going to make sure my guy Giyasov gets that opportunity. And then if he wins, which I'm going to try to secure the rights to the fight, and then make sure my guy wins, and then Boots can fight him, and I have an in-house fight with two champions, and then I'll have Boots become unified. Now, I could be all wrong, but all we're doing is having a conversation. But I don't think I'm too off beam with those assumptions that I'm making. But that being said, Eddie Hearn making his move on the WBA title, and he did say he has big plans for Boots, and people will see. He didn't go into specifics, but in my opinion, what we're seeing is the big plans starting to reveal themselves to us. But more to come on it. I just think it's kind of, surprising that this has come up today, especially when there's been so much inactivity and Boots not being able to get his opportunities, not Stanionis being forced to fight Giyasov. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Just watch Eddie Hearn's fighters and look at the opportunity that they receive. I'm not saying they're not fighting. I'm not saying they're not winning. All I'm saying is those guys get some opportunities and get some breaks that a lot of other fighters don't get, from positive ped tests to goddamn getting decisions. Okay? That's all I'm saying. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents, in the breeze.